In the past few classes, we learnt about resistors, inductors, and capacitors. In today's class, we are going to talk about first order circuits, the response of how the resistors and inductors and capacitors, how do they respond in first order circuits. Okay, so first let us define what a first order circuit is. Okay, any circuit with a single energy storage element, an arbitrary number of sources and arbitrary number of resistors is a circuit of order 1. That means there could be any number of sources. Okay, there could be any number of voltage sources, current sources, or there could be multiple number of current sources, voltage sources, dependent voltage sources, dependent current sources, but there has to be only one energy storage element. That means a first order circuit will have only one capacitor or one inductor. Okay, it can't have two inductors or two capacitors or a combination of inductor and capacitor. That is what we call it as first order circuit. Okay, so any voltage in current in such circuit, when we try to find out the solution, why we call it is order 1 or a first order circuit, is when we form an try to solve these circuits with one inductor or one capacitor, the differential equation will be of first order. So that is the reason we call this as first order circuit. Okay, so there are two kinds of response of first order circuit. The first one is known as natural response. Okay, so what does natural response means? When there is no source, okay, the whatever is the response of the circuit based on the energy which is stored in the energy storing device. It could be an inductor or a capacitor, and there is no source. Okay, there is no additional voltage source or current source. Then whatever is the response of the circuit, that we call it as a natural response. Whereas there is something known as forced response. Okay, now what is forced response is whenever there is a source which is switched on. It could be a voltage source or with an or there could be a current source which once it gets switched on onto the circuit will respond to it, right? So that is known as the forced response. Okay, so these are the two different kinds of response. So before we try to before I explain you how to solve first order circuits, okay, let me first give you some small examples about what are the applications of first order circuits. Okay, this is a spark plug which you all know. This comes in every two-wheeler and a four-wheeler and petrol-based four-wheelers. Okay, so in diesel engines we don't have. In all the petrol engines, whether it is two-wheeler or a four-wheeler, you will have a spark plug. Okay, and the purpose of the spark plugs we know, that is whenever the fuel air mixture is compressed, when it gets compressed, then we give a small spark into the cylinder, and then the fuel ignites and that pushes the cylinder, and that's how that chemical energy is converted into mechanical energy. So so what the purpose of this spark plug is to give sparks, right? Okay, so there are two terminals here, anode and cathode, across which there has to be a spark. Okay, now how can a current flow if there is an air gap? The current can flow, it can jump through this air gap. Okay, this air gap is in few millimeters, but still for the current to flow, so that's what the spark is nothing but a flow of electrons between these two electrodes, and for that to happen you should have a very high voltage, typically close to 1000 volts at least, for this spark to happen here. Okay, so how can we generate that close to 1000 amps volts across this terminal? Is by using a simple inductor and a circuit like this. Okay, so this is the spark plug. So you have an resistance here and you have an inductor here, and you generally have an 12-volt battery in your car or your bike, right? So using a 12-volt battery and is using a very small resistors and a huge inductor. Okay, this inductor has to be very large. So the larger the inductor, more energy will be stored out here. So when you switch on this switch, okay, a current will flow into the inductor. Okay, so this resistance also needs to be small, so that a huge current flows in this, and the value of the inductor also has to be very large. And then you immediately instantaneously you remove this switch off, or you open this switch. Okay, whatever the current is flowing now here, and that doesn't have a path here, so it will like we discussed in the last class, this is going to generate an very high voltage, and a spark plug is so it causes the spark to jump from this these two terminals of the spark plug, because a very high voltage will be generated here now across the inductor. So that is applied across these two terminals, and then you will have a spark, and this energy which is stored gets dissipated here as a spark. Is this operation clear to all of you, Dheeraj?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, all of you. Okay, Vansh, is it clear? And how does this spark plug
Yes,
work?
sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So if you see in a car and all, that is, well, if you open up the bonnet, you will find an ignition coil, a black thing, which is a very big one. Okay, because that is the inductor. Okay, it will be enclosed in a plastic black color, or in silver colors also, or you can just Google the image of an ignition coil. Okay, so that ignition coil will be there in a two-wheeler also. Okay, so that is how with merely 12 volts we are able to generate close to 1000 volts out here. Okay, that is by using an inductor. So first we try to store energy in the inductor, okay, by closing it for a sufficiently long time. Okay, if you so that the current reaches in, because this is a large inductor, so it will require some time for it to get charged. So you use a small resistor, and you pump in energy into this circuit, and then you remove this switch, so that energy has to get dissipated. So that we discussed in the last class also. If you remove this switch off into the off position, that it develops a high voltage, so that will cause the spark to jump between these two terminals. So this is an purely first order circuit, okay, where you have only one element here, one storage element. So that's why it's first order circuit. Okay, I can give you one more example. You have this camera flashes also, right? So you can have a simple switch and a battery. You can just switch on the battery and this would flash, right? But what happens is the battery will have generally an internal resistance, and also if you're going to draw huge current from the battery for a short duration of time, the battery, the plates of the battery, there will be a lot of heat generated within the battery because of the internal resistance, and also the battery capacity will go down because of the deformation of the plates. Okay, so this is the kind of circuit we generally use. This is a very simple simplified circuit. The actual circuit will be slightly more complex. So here what we do is we charge this capacitor, okay, using a battery. So we can take a small amount of current, but for a longer duration, and charge this capacitance, and then we move those switch. Okay, then this whatever charge is accumulated in the capacitor, okay, that will drive this flashlight. Okay, so the advantage here is the capacitor will have a very negligible internal resistance, and it is in a position to provide large current without getting heated up. Okay, so unlike a battery. So this is also one of the applications, the first order circuit application. Okay. Now having done that, so let's see how an first order circuit looks like, and how to solve the circuits which is first order circuits. Okay, so this is an RC circuit. So this we saw in the last class also. When you switch on this switch, so there will be a current which will flow from RS, and this capacitor will get charged to Vs. Okay, so at t is equal to 0, this switch is getting closed out here. So this source along with this switch can be modeled as an unit step function. Unit step function is what? At when I say unit step function, it means it is equal to 0 for t less than 0, is equal to 1 for t greater than 0. So if this source along with this switch can be modeled as Vs into ut. That means for t is equal to 0, ut is 0, so Vs is 0, and for t equal to 1, so for t greater than 0, this is 1, ut is 1, so this becomes Vs. So that is how we model this source. This source and this switch together will be modeled as Vs into ut. Is it clear to all of you? Okay. So
Yes.
okay. Now this is like a Vs into ut, that we have modeled it like this. We have R, we have C. Okay. So last time we saw a derivation, but in that in the last class, in that we considered that the capacitor is initially charged, is not charged, and there is zero charge, okay, in the capacitor. But that is a specific case. So let's take a generalized case. So there could be some voltage initially in the capacitor. Okay, so that we are calling it as V. Okay, so there is some initially there is some voltage on the capacitor, or we call it as V0. Okay, so that is the initial value of the capacitance voltage. Okay, now the capacitance is given by C by Q, or you can write Q is equal to CV. Or I is dq by dt, so I can write C dV by dt. Okay, now C dV by dt, okay, that is this voltage source minus the drop across the resistance, so minus V, okay, by R. Okay, sorry, this is the current, right, going to the capacitor. Now that current is equal to what is the voltage here? It is Vs ut. And what is the voltage here? V. This small v is the voltage across the capacitor. This is the voltage source, and divided by R, because so that is the current. So I have replaced this current equation, C dV I is equal to C dV by dt. I have equated it with the current through the resistor. This is the current through the capacitor, this is the current through the resistor, and since it's a single loop, they have to be equal. So on the left hand side, I have the current going into the capacitor, and this is the current across voltages across the resistor divided by the resistor, which will give in the current in the resistor. Okay, now I take I just do some algebraic manipulation and get the dV here, dV by dt, take C here, and then I do the manipulation. I will get dV V minus Vs is equal to minus dt by Rc. Okay, this is the same equation, just written in a different manner, and then I integrate it. Okay, and if I integrate V minus Vs, it will be a log Vs, and 1 by Rc I integrate. Here the variable is t, so I get t. Now you got to see the limits what we have put here. Okay, if you notice the limits, here it is V0, it is not 0, because now we are not assuming that the capacitor will have 0 charge initially. Now we are assuming that there is some V0 charge in the capacitor, and at time t it will be Vt. Okay, so that t is variable as of now, so the 0 to t. So now putting these limits, you get this minus t by Rc plus 0. For t is equal to 0, this becomes 0. For t is equal to t, this is the equation. Right now, this is a minus 2 log terms with the minus in between. So I brought it to the denominator, and then subsequently take exponential. Okay, so if you just rewrite it, it looks like this, right? So now here for t less than 0, so this becomes V0. Okay, and that was the initial condition, right? This is the for t less than 0. The voltage in the capacitor is V0. For t greater than 0, it is Vs plus V0 minus Vs e to the power of minus t by 2. Okay, now what is tau here? It is 1 by Rc. Okay, it is the same what we studied in the last class. So 1 by Rc. So this is an actual expression for a voltage across the capacitor. This is not generalized that V0 will be 0. Okay, so this is the full equation, considering there could be some charge, some voltage across the capacitor initially also. So this is the this is the main equation, you could say, okay, for voltage across the capacitor. if you see, this will be the response, like initially it will be a V0 and then slowly it will raise, and at 5 tau it will go to Vs, which is the final value of the Vs of the source. Okay, it will go. So initially is V0 and then it goes to Vs. So the current will go exponentially, the voltage will go rise exponentially. So this is the equation which it will follow here. Okay, now remember that this V0 in this particular graph, it's shown it has got some positive value, but that when we analyze circuits, that need not be the case. Okay, you can also have negative voltages on the capacitor and the graph will go from negative to Vs also. Suppose this in this circuit, right, and there is some other circuit out here, and during switching, if this voltage is connected in the wrong polarity, there is a not wrong, in the reverse polarity, the capacitor can get charged in the opposite direction also, right? So not necessarily that initial voltage on the capacitor needs to be positive. Okay, that depends on circuit to circuit. So it can go from 0 to Vs, or there could be a possibility that it could go from minus V0 to Vs also. Okay, so all those possibilities are there. Okay, so we need to just find out the initial conditions and write the equations accordingly, right? So we will take an example, so things will be more clear there, right? This equation of if the initial charge on the capacitor is 0, so this is what we learnt in the previous class. This is only a special case of this more generalized form. Okay, in this case Vt is equal to Vs into 1 minus e to the power of t by t ut. Okay, that is because V0 is 0. So this curve which we learnt earlier is just an one of the cases of this generalized form where V0 is 0, where initially there is no voltage on the capacitor. Okay, but that need not always be the case. And similarly, this current will follow the decaying path. Okay, and this will be the equation. So we'll take one example, so it will be more clear. So I am giving one example here, and in Monday's tutorial we'll discuss a few more examples like this of RC circuit, so things will be pretty clear then. So here what we are doing is for t less than 0, this switch is closed out here. So there will be some initial charge on the capacitor, and then at t is equal to 0, this switch is open. Now we need to find out what is the equation, what is the expression for the capacitor voltage and what is the expression for the current in this circuit after t is equal to 0. Okay, so that is the problem statement. So can someone tell me what would be the voltage across this capacitor at t less than 0? Anybody? Dheeraj, Shashank, anybody? Sarvesh? What will be the voltage across the capacitor? Will it be V? Shriyansh? Once?
No, sir.
Yeah. How much? What would be the voltage? This switch is closed. This switch is closed now. What would be the voltage across this capacitor? It is closed for a long time. Steady state. We have reached a steady state condition. Under steady state, what would be the voltage across the capacitor? Right. So in a steady state, okay, there won't be any current flowing into the capacitor, right? So you can consider the capacitor to be an open circuit, because already whatever charge needs to be deposited onto this capacitor, that has been done. Whatever needs to be accumulated has been done now. So what would be the voltage? It is V is applied here. You have Rg here and you have R here. So it is like a potential divider, right? So the voltage across the capacitor initially will be V into R divided by R plus Rg. Is it okay now, all of you? So the initial voltage, okay, before the switch is opened, okay, it will be V is equal to V into R divided by Rg plus R. Okay, because this is in steady state condition, there will be no current flowing into the capacitor here. Okay, there will be current flowing into this resistor, and based on that, this voltage, the initial voltage in the capacitor V0, what we call as V0 will be V into R divided by Rg plus R. Okay, so that is how we tackle this problem. So any problem on RC circuit, so we need to first find out what is the initial voltage across the capacitor. Okay, for that we can consider the capacitor to be open circuit and try to find out what is the voltage going to be there, okay, based on the other elements which are there in the circuit. So we now this is the voltage which is in this particular circuit. We find the voltage across capacitor will be V into R divided by Rg plus R. Okay, now the switch is opened. Okay, now you will find this mesh has become non-operational and there is only this mesh. Okay, because no current can flow here, so we need to write the loop equation out here in this. Okay, we need to write a KVL. So the voltage across this will be C dV by dt. Okay, the voltage across this, no, we are equating the current, sorry. Okay, the current, so the current across this current is equal to this current, right? So IC plus IR is equal to 0 because both the currents are shown in the downward direction. So that is the reason we are writing IC plus IR is equal to 0. The current in the capacitance is given by C dV by dt, whereas the current in the resistance is given by V divided by R. So now again we are taking dV by dt is equal to we are getting V by R onto the right hand side and moving this C in the bottom, and then we bring this V here and we take the T here and we integrate. So you get log Vt is equal to minus 1 by Rc plus K. So K is the constant, right? Whenever we integrate we have a constant coming here. So now we can write Vt is equal to, now we're taking exponential on both the sides from this equation, we can write Vt is equal to e to the power of minus t by Rc plus K, or you can write equal to e to the power of minus t by Rc into e to the power of K. Now if you can write the, we need to find out, this is the equation but it has got a constant out here. To find out the value of the constant, I know the initial condition. So at t is equal to 0, V0 is equal to, if I put t is equal to 0, I will get V0 is equal to e to the power of K. Okay, and what is V0? That we already found out. V0 is V into R divided by Rg plus R. Okay, so that is V0. So this is V0 is known here. So in this equation now e to the power of K, we can replace it by V0 divided by V0. We can replace it by Vg into, okay, this value. Okay, so we can write that there, right? So you will get Vt is equal to V0 e to the power of minus t. And how to write the current equation? Since this voltage, same voltage is available across R also, so the current will be V divided by R. So you write V divided by R. So this is how we solve problems, first order problems, first order response with regards to RC circuits. Is it clear to all of you? Okay, so the stepwise what we need to do is, first we need to find out the initial voltage across the capacitor. Okay, and then once the problem statement is given, okay, once you remove the switch or close the switch, then accordingly you need to write the loop equation. Okay, either you can use KVL or KVL as whatever is the case, and then we do the integration, and because it's a first order equation you can do an integration, and then replace the constant by find out the value of the constant by using the initial conditions. Okay, so this is how we are going to solve the response of an RC circuits. Okay. So the voltage across the capacitor, this we know, it will fall exponentially at an here time constant will be RC. Okay, so initially it will be a V0 whatever it is charged with, and then it will come to 0 at an tau is equal to at 4 RC it will be 0.05, and at 5 RC it will be almost 0. Okay, so similarly now we have seen how the step response of an RC circuit. Now we will see an step response of an okay, I have written this wrong, it should be RL circuit. Okay, so I'll amend this before I upload the PDF. So RL circuit. Okay, when a DC voltage or a current source is applied to turn out, the source can be modeled as a step function. Here also the same thing. Okay, we are using a source and we are going to model it as a step function like we did in the So see, you have a VSUT, that is the source, okay, and then you have an resistance R, and then you have an inductor here. Okay, now in this case we can write a differential equation. Okay, last time we wrote a loop equation and we tried to solve that. Here we can, this is a different approach. Okay, this, all you can do that also, but this is a different approach. Here there are, see, any current components in such circuits, there will be two. Okay, one is the steady state current and one is known as the transient current. Okay, so the transient means what? It is a temporary phenomena and it will die down after some time, and the steady state means it is going to remain there. So the transient can always be represented as a e to the power of minus t by 2, okay, because there is an R and L. So I can write the transient current as a e to the power of minus t by 2. That means this is just a temporary phenomena, it will die down. So I have written like that. Whereas the steady state, that is going to remain throughout, okay, after t is equal to 5t. So that is the steady state condition. Okay, now what is the steady state condition here? We know that inductor gets shorted after some time, and the current will be restricted by Vs divided by R. So this is the steady state current. So this is the transient current, this is the steady state current. So that the total current will be sum of the transient current and the steady state current. So you write, you straight away write this equation. Okay, now after having written that, we can write what will be the to find out the value of A. Here we have inserted a variable A, right? Now to find out the value of A, okay, so we need to know the we need to put the initial values and then try to find out eliminate this variable. This is a constant, but eliminate this constant and write the value which is pertaining to this circuit. Okay, so if I0 be the initial current, okay, now like I said, this is a more generalized form where we are assuming that the inductor current is not zero when the switch is closed. Okay, so there could be some current in the inductor before the switch is closed. So we are trying to derive a more generalized equation, and I equal to 0 is a more specific one of the cases. So that's why we are telling I0 be the initial current to the inductor at t is equal to 0. So in this equation, okay, so this becomes I0 at t is equal to 0 means this becomes e to the power of minus t will become 0. Okay, because this will become I0. So I get I0 is equal to A into Vs by R, or A is equal to I0 minus Vs by R. Okay, now substituting that value of A in this equation. So I get I is equal to Vs divided by R plus I0 into minus Vs by R e to the power of minus. So this is another approach. You can do it for solving any first order circuit. You can assume the transient phenomena and also the steady state phenomena, and then you can put a variable here. Okay, so but we are not bothered whether the current is going to increase or decrease. Okay, we will write a negative here because this is a transient phenomena which has to die after some time. Okay, so this will always be negative. Okay, if you, so although in this particular circuit this is going to increase, the current is going to increase. Okay, but then that is the total current is going to increase, but the transient current, okay, the switching currents has to die down after some time. That is why we write a negative here. Okay, so you need to be careful with that. Okay, so you get this equation. So now in this equation also, if you write if I0 is equal to 0, that is a specific case. So you get for t is equal to 0, and for greater than t, Vs 1 minus t minus infinity. Okay, t by 2. Okay, this you get for normal time t greater than 0. If I put t is equal to infinity, this term vanishes, and then I get Vs by R. So that is the steady state current, right? So the steady state, for I is equal to 0, for t less than 0 it will be 0, and for t greater than 0, okay, this will be Vs divided by R. Here also, if you see, for t is equal to infinity, what happens if I put t is equal to infinity? This entire term gets multiplied by 0 out here. So this goes off. So again you will get Vs by R. Okay. So we'll take this is a special case of where I is equal to 0. So here the current will go from 0 to Vs by R. So this and the voltage across the inductor initially will be Vs. Okay, so that you need to be aware. Okay, so initially when there is no current flowing into this inductor, the moment you are switching on this, there will be no I is equal to 0 means IR drop is 0. So entire voltage is available across the inductor. Okay, and at t equal to infinity, I is equal to Vs by R. So this entire voltage gets dropped across this resistance, and this voltage will come to 0. So at t is equal to 0, current is 0, and the voltage across inductor is whatever is available. At t is equal to infinity, the current will be Vs by R, whereas the voltage across this will be 0. Okay, so that needs to be remembered always. Okay, we'll take one more additional problem on this, and then we'll take more problems in the tutorials. Okay, now this switch is closed out here at for t is equal to 0. So a steady state current is established in this inductor. Okay, and then at t is equal to 0, we are throwing the switch open, and then now we have to find out what would be the expression for the voltage and the current in this mesh after t is equal to 0. That is okay, after t is equal to 0. So before t is equal to 0, what would be the current in this inductor? Anybody? You can make a wild guess. Yeah, Vansh, any idea? Anybody? Sarvesh, Shriyansh, Vaibhav. What would be the current in this inductor?
V by Rg.
Yeah, V by Rg. Okay, because this inductor is going to be a short circuit, so all the current would flow through this inductor and not through R. Okay, so this is R is equal to 0. So the current which will flow into this inductor will be V by Rg. Okay, so this is what the switch is closed at t less than 0. So inductor acts as a short circuit for DC voltage. Okay, so VL, okay, VL is 0. Okay, because this is a short circuit. So then the current which will flow into the inductor will be given by V divided by Rg. Okay, is it clear to all of you? So we should be very clear and how to establish the initial conditions of an inductor and a capacitor. Okay, when we try to establish an initial condition, we do a DC analysis, and for all DC analysis we need to consider the inductor as a short circuit and a capacitor as an open circuit. So when we consider capacitor as an open circuit, there will be no current flowing into that, and then we need to find the with that being open, whatever is the voltage across the capacitor, that becomes the initial voltage across the capacitor. Similarly, when we are finding out the initial current across an inductor, we need to consider that as a short circuit, and then try to find out what is the current which will flow into that short circuit, that is R is equal to 0. Okay, so this is how we have established. Now the initial current will be V divided by Rg. Okay, and now this is open. So now you will find there is a mesh which is formed here. Now all the energy which was stored in this inductor needs to be dissipated in this R, so that there will be a current which will flow here, right? So now this in this case we are equating the voltages. Okay, this voltage is equal to this voltage. So L di by dt plus Ri is equal to 0. Okay. So this voltage is equal to this voltage, right? So I am writing Ri is equal to minus Ri, because the current will flow from bottom to top. So that's why I have written a plus Ri equal to 0 out here. So this equation we write, and then we bring di by dt here, take the L onto the other side, and then we write I here. This is the normal to solve in first order equations in mathematics. We know what to do, right? So di by dt, and then we integrate it. Okay, once we integrate it, okay, taking dt here, di here, I get log I is equal to minus r kt, and then you insert a constant out here. Okay, because you are integrating it. and then you take log on both sides, you get it is equal to e to the power of minus RT by L into e to the power of k. Now to find out the value of e to the power of k, like we did in the last case, at t is equal to 0, we know I0, what is the value of I0, which we have all V by Rg. So that is equal, so if I put t is equal to 0, this term becomes 1. So this is an Vg V by Rg. So e to the power of k is nothing but V divided by Rg. So now you can substitute that. So that is how we solve these kind of equations. Okay, these kind of circuits. Okay. So this is a step response of an LC circuit. Okay, the same thing. Okay, it is showing that the current, once it is switched in this particular circuit, once the switch is kept open, whatever is the initial current, that slowly comes to 0, and the time constant is L by R. Okay, that means if you have a large inductor, then more energy will be stored, and that much more time it would take for it to come to 0. That is understandable, right? So you will have, and if you have an large R, okay, again what happens, if you will think, if you have, like in the case of an capacitor, what happens, if you have a capacitor here, if you have a large R, so slowly the current will discharge in a slower manner. So that's why you have RC here, right? Here the thing is slightly different. You have L by R, right? So R is in the denominator. That means if you have a large R, okay, this current will fall more rapidly. Okay, that is because whatever is the energy stored here, okay, because that gets dissipated as I R square, right? I square R, right? So if you have a large value of R here, in that case it is the voltage, okay, which is the driving force. Here in inductor it is the current which is driving this circuit here, okay, because so this I square R, so more power will be dissipated. So whatever is the stored energy gets dissipated at an faster rate. So in this you will find R is in the denominator out here, okay, but greater N means more energy will be stored, so that's why it will take more time. Okay, so around 5 tau, the entire energy will get dissipated to 0. Okay, so is it clear to all of you? Okay, so in these slides, okay, I have written LC. It should be an RL or LR. Okay, so I will do the amendment before I update the PDF. Okay, so and okay, before we wind up for today, let me, because I have framed some questions which involves diodes also for your quiz. So since I have not covered a diode, so let me cover a diode today here. So you have an what is a diode, right? Diode is a device which conducts only in one direction. Okay, so in this particular circuit, this is an ideal diode model. You have a supply voltage, you have a resistance, you have a diode here, right? So since this diode is now forward biased, okay, how do I know? This is the symbol of the diode. Okay, so if you see this arrow which is given like this here, it means the current has to will flow in this direction. Okay, so this is the anode and this is the cathode. Okay, so this is the anode. So as long as this diode is forward biased, in an ideal diode you can assume it will be a short circuit and the current will be V divided by R. Okay, whereas when this diode is, if it is reverse biased, that is, if you are giving a positive voltage onto the cathode and negative voltage to the anode, so this will act like an open circuit. Okay, if it is an open circuit, then no current can flow here. Okay, so this is voltage across the diode and this is the current. This is if there is no R. If there is no R, if you applied a forward voltage, current will be infinite. Okay, this is the graph which shows an ideal diode characteristics. But in circuits like this, this forward current will get restricted by V divided by R. Is this clear to all of you? How does an diode work?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this in practical diodes, okay, there is only one major difference. When you forward bias a diode, okay, around 0.7 volt will be dropped across that diode. Okay, so if you see here, there was a diode here. Okay, that diode gets replaced by an 0.7 volt. Okay, so this diode, so 0.7 volt, around 0.7 volt you will get dropped. So the current in fact in this resistor will be whatever voltage we have applied minus 0.7 divided by R. Okay, so it is also understood that obviously for this diode to function, whatever bias voltage we are applying, that has to be greater than 0.7 volt, otherwise this diode will not. So for voltages applied below 0.7 volt, then it will appear like it is off only, right? So so whenever we apply more than 0.7 volt, this diode will be forward biased, and then you have to consider that 0.7 volt drop also across the diode. Okay, whereas if it is reverse biased, then you assume that the current is 0. Actually it won't be 0 in all practical diodes, it will be in picoamperes range. Okay, which is generally not very, it's negligible in most of the circuits which in the electrical domain, whereas in low power that could be an issue, but for the electrical domain we can say it is 0. We can assume it to be an ideal off condition. Okay, similarly for an LED, okay, these are the symbols of the LED. So you will have this LED anode and cathode. If you see an practical LED also which is available in the market, okay, the legs will be, one will be longer and one will be shorter. Okay, the shorter one will be cathode, so and the longer one will be anode. So you need to give the positive voltage on the because this is an ultimately it's an diode which emits light. Okay, so it is, so you have to give a positive voltage here and a negative voltage here, and the voltage for various color lights, the voltage requires for it to glow is generally from, it starts from around 1 volt to around 4 to 5 volt. Okay, so depending on the color, if you see the pink and red ones, they require around red, orange, these are the generally we use red LEDs, and orange, yellow, these LEDs in most of the places it is around 2 volts. Okay, that is the voltage required for it to switch on. Okay, it is not 0.7 volt, remember that it comes around 0.2 volt. Okay, for it to switch on, and then it requires around 20 when it gets switched on, for it to glow brightly, it requires around 20 milliamperes of current. Okay, so this is about LEDs. Okay, so this little bit basic about these you might require for your quiz. Okay, so with that I will stop here in case there is